She's Katy Montgomery. He's Justin Joseph. These best friends are serving subpoenas to bad advice weekly with Wrong Way Forward, the advice column reboot you never knew you needed. Sparks fly, and so does the hilarity. Now, here's Katy and Justin.
Hi, and welcome to episode 5 of Wrong Way Forward podcast. My name is Katy Montgomery, and I'm here with my best friend, Justin Joseph. And today we're going to cover pet peeves. And we're going to talk about why it's the wrong way forward that people are doing these things that are really irritating.
100%. And our hope is that they don't just drive us nuts, but that maybe it's something that strikes a nerve with a lot of people.
Yes. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. And so what I love about pet peeves is what's interesting about them is no matter, I think a lot of it has to do with how you were raised, things, kind of your culture and environment. But everybody has them and they're all different.
Yeah, I mean, correct. So do you want to start or do you want me to start?
I think you should start.
So I'm going to start with something that could be potentially controversial. So I live in Washington, D.C., and I do live in a neighborhood that I would say probably 8 out of 10, maybe even 9 out of 10 of us share the same political beliefs.
Right.
But when I go home, I want respite. I want beauty. I want a well-manicured lawn. I want to walk into my front door and just, feel this kind of beautiful community and neighborhood. What I don't want to see are houses littered with political signs.
One way or the other.
One way or the other. I really don't care what the issue is, what the political party is, who the actual person is. I just don't want to see that mess and that lack of kind of a manicured, clean lawn. I just want beauty. I just want aesthetics. I want to walk into the neighborhood and I want to see the birds chirping and the flowers blooming. And I just want peace.
And that's not surprising, just knowing you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, what I'll say is, obviously I come from the gay community, or I don't come from that, but I'm part of that community. And I remember when I was younger, we would do the gay pride thing. Mm-hmm. And we were so proud. And we used to live in a condo, a high rise, and we would hang the flag at the start of Gay Pride weekend. And when I woke up Monday morning, I could not have ran to that balcony faster to take that thing down.
Exactly.
Because it's fun to make a statement. And then you're like, that's just not who I am.
Right. And again, I don't have an issue with the statement. In fact, I think I'm a very, politically, opinionated person. The analogy that I would give is when I, go to a condo at the beach, I don't want to see your towels hanging everywhere and all of your, inflatables and all your rafts. I want to see beauty and pristine. I want peace, and the clutter and the mess and the mismatched signs and pool toys to me does not give me the sense of a respite. And my home is my respite.
Can we also take a step back on that and talk about what the motivating factor is, or what we think the motivating factor is for people who want to post signs? Like for me, again, when we put up a gay pride flag, it was because at that moment we were proud.
Yes.
And, looking back, I also realized that flag can be divisive in some ways, right or wrong, it can be divisive. And, I just think as I got older, that's not who I wanted to be. But some people, it's important to them to make a statement, and that's how they do it.
Correct. And actually, the decisiveness doesn't bother me at all. I think that's one of the beauties about having an opinion and being in America and being able to, talk about your opinion loud and proudly. I just think that in a neighborhood, I don't want clunky looking stuff. And to give you an example, we had someone down the street and it was an eyesore for everyone. They took this one step further and they took a can of spray paint and they spray painted a message on sidewalk. So my first reaction is this is vandalism. My second reaction is you don't have neat handwriting and I can barely read. So at least find someone with good penmanship. But number 3, it was like, what is the marketing mindset behind this? This is, it's not a major thoroughfare. It's not a busy street. Who's seeing this message? Do you need to write this to make you feel at peace? At the same time, not considering that you vandalized the property. And so around in the neighborhood, we have to see something that really just antagonizes you.
Well, so you think that's the wrong way forward?
Correct.
Having said that, I don't necessarily disagree, but I can also voice the argument. And again, no matter what side of your politics you're on or what you feel strongly about, I can also see a point that when people have limited means of expressing their position, Their property is one of them. And even though I think it offends some people, I can see it as a means of expression when you don't have a lot of other things going on.
Correct. And it is a mean of expression. But if you do it, please do it in the most aesthetically pleasing way possible.
And with good handwriting.
And with good handwriting, yes.
Now let's talk about one of mine. And we've talked about this on the show before, bathroom humor. I think this has a lot to do with how I was raised. And in my house, you just didn't, at the dinner table, there were 4 rules. You did not talk about the 4 Ds: dirt, death, disease, or destruction. Now, bathroom humor is not one of 4 Ds, but that was definitely awful. It's 4 Ds in a beat.
I just want to take this back. You could not talk at dinner about destruction. What the hell does that mean?
That means like you wouldn't talk about an earthquake in some place that caused destruction. I don't know. These were the 4 Ds. These are my parents' rules. They were just the way it was 4 Ds in a beat.
Okay.
So, and to this date, I can't talk about bathroom humor. And I literally could not date someone who talked about bathroom humor.
Well, to me, that's not necessarily the wrong way forward. And I want to say one of the most freeing things as an adult is number 2. And I guess if you know what number 3 is, right?
I know what number 1 is and number 2 is.
Number 3 is a combination of the 2.
Oh my goodness, that's bathroom humor. Do not. This is the wrong way forward.
Well, but I want to say, being 51 years old, right?
Talks about number 3.
Because sometimes you have it and it's horrible, and you need to have compassion.
Okay, so you really are talking about.
No, I'm just saying that as I got older and being so prim and proper, maybe when I was younger, it's nice to finally to be able to talk about my stomach hurts. I'm having these issues.
I think that's different when you're talking about it from a medical perspective.
I literally can talk to you about something barely touching that realm, and you literally lose your mind.
Yeah, I do. I mean, but you don't have that much of ground to stand on because you won't say the FART word. You have a different word for it.
You know what? That makes it civilized.
Say the word.
I don't want to.
Not the FART word, the other word.
Diarrhea?
No, the P word.
I don't know what.
I can't even say it because it's not a real word.
Oh, poop. Poop is a good.
So you hate bathroom humor too?
No, I actually think it's pretty funny. I'm just saying that it's like your reaction to it. The right way forward is being comfortable enough with the people you're around to be able to talk about those medical issues. Let me tell you,
we're not talking about a medical issue. We're talking about if you're at the dinner table. Okay. So does I need to go take a number 2?
No, my question is this, and I have my last sibling. I'm one of 4 kids. The last sibling that's turning 45. A regular topic of conversation has been: have you scheduled your colonoscopy?
That's totally different.
Yes, but everyone I know who talks about the colonoscopy talks about what's involved to have a colonoscopy.
Well, everyone knows.
And that's when you talk about number 3.
Okay. I think it's time to go into number 3 pet peeve and get on number 2.
Okay, well then I am going to give you a pet peeve that's going to make me sound so old-fashioned.
Is that possible?
I am really sick to death of people not writing a thank you note.
Oh, okay.
And I'm particularly upset that younger people aren't doing it. There was something to be said about when you graduated or after your birthday or after Christmas, your mother or father would sit you down and you weren't able to do something of any enjoyment until you completed your thank you notes. I think it taught you, to be grateful, to take the time to learn the art of writing a note. And now this passing thank you text, I think it is creating more of a sense of entitlement, a real lack of gratitude. And I think people are losing the art of writing a note. And I just had a dear friend visit me, and it was just such a pleasant and lovely surprise to get a handwritten note in the mail.
Why do you think that is? Because it involves someone's effort and time and the personalization of actually handwriting something?
I think it's that. I think they don't know what to say. I think that they have gotten out of the habit of understanding. It's more than thank you for X. To actually write a letter, you have to fill the card.
Yeah.
You have to have 3 or 4 sentences. And the more you do it, it's a skill. If you don't use it, you lose it. And I think it's something that I'm sad that it's going away, but I'm also particularly sad it's going away because, first of all, people get married and they send a gift. I understand life happens. I don't know if you've received it, right? So I need to have confirmation of that, number 1, because I don't want you to think I'm tacky and didn't send something. Exactly.
I know nothing about you. I know that.
There we go. Number two, I think it's such a lovely gesture. And number three, I think it's something that's really important to learn professionally and how to differentiate yourself in the market. It really is the wrong way forward that we are not seeing thank you notes being written pretty much across the board, but particularly in the younger generation.
I don't disagree, and I think the fact that if you take that extra step, it sets you apart. I think that's the number one point.
Yes.
Yeah, I realize that a lot of children don't do it, but if you want to stand out, it's a real easy way to stand out in a professional situation and a personal situation. We only have a few seconds left in this segment. Let's just do a quick fire round of what bothers you.
Okay.
Slow drivers, mediocre drivers, get out of my way. I have some place to go and I need to get there.
And I having driven with Justin for the last few days, drivers who are incredibly impatient and might be kind of crazy and behind the wheel drives me crazy.
All right, what about you? Quick fire?
Quick fire, I think something that drives me crazy is I do a lot of walking.
Uh-huh.
And I think that you should walk facing the oncoming traffic and the person. And it drives me crazy when there's two people at opposite directions on a sidewalk and they don't understand that. Or if people are walking in a group and they don't understand to step aside, it should be two single file lines. You don't own the sidewalk.
Love it. Mine, ice. I say it's one of my only diva qualities. I need good ice. It has to be see-through. When I get a Diet Coke, if it turns into that fuzz, I want to vomit. And then if you make me a drink and you don't fill it to the rim with ice and bring me 6 ice cubes, I want to throw it in your face.
Well, that's a very intense reaction to ice. And when you said ice, at first I thought you were going to talk about the political topic in hand. So that kind of threw me for a loop. I think what's really driving me crazy is I live in a neighborhood in DC that has brought some great restaurants and some casual restaurants. Litter. I mean, I was born in 1974. I remember the crying Indian. I remember, Smokey the Bear. I remember that kind of environmental sense, like do not litter. And it's become a big joke. My nephew and I go around and we pick up litter. And I love that this little 5-year-old has become so outraged by litter. You can't stay on top of it. It's like people don't care anymore. Use the public trash can. They're on every block.
All right. When we come back, we're going to talk about one of the things I think we both agree upon, and we're going to give a teaser and not tell what it is. One of our biggest pet peeves is giving up who you are to be with someone that is that important to give a piece of yourself. That's our teaser. It's a very famous couple. We're going to talk about that on the other side. When we come back, we'll be right back with Wrong Way Forward. Stay tuned.
You've been listening to Wrong Way Forward, where bad advice goes to die and then gets resurrected just so we can roast it again.
That's right, Katy. Nobody's off limits, not the gurus, not the influencers, and definitely not Oprah.
Sorry, Oprah.
If you're enjoying the chaos, hit like and subscribe and come back every Thursday for new episodes.
Have a new topic or some disastrously bad advice you want to dissect? Email wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com. Include your contact info.
Now back to Wrong Way Forward.
Roasting the worst advice ever. Welcome back to the Katy and Justin podcast.
Hi, and welcome back to the Wrong Way Forward podcast. Justin did a little teasing, and I want to say I don't necessarily agree with what he's going to say in this next block, but I'm going to pass it over to Justin to kind of tee this up and give some context.
Because today we're talking, of course, about pet peeves, what drives us nuts. I went to the break thinking that we agreed that this is the wrong way forward, but apparently we don't. So this has really bothered me since last year, and I've had some really good spirited fights with friends of mine about this.
Fight, so that means usually a disagreement.
And I always think I'm right about this. And I will say this before we play this clip: I had the wrong. I would have bet money that a year later I would not be talking about this because it would be over. But I was wrong, so I'll start there and we'll play the clip and come back and talk about the other side.
He's just a vibe booster in everyone's life that he's in. He's like a human exclamation point. I lost this podcast. This podcast got me a boyfriend. Ever since Travis decided to use it as his personal dating app about 2 years ago. So it was such a wild romantic gesture to just be like, I want to date you. This dude didn't get a meet and greet. He's making it everyone's problem.
Vomit. Okay, so obviously we're talking about do they have a name, a blended name yet?
I mean, if they do, I have no idea.
I don't either, but it'll be coming if they don't. But I was one of these people who thought this would never last. I'm also one of the people, before we set it up, he had his worst game of his career. I shouldn't say that because I don't know that. I know that the Chiefs lost. They never lose. Last Monday, this is after his big engagement and this big whirlwind and this podcast. His job is football. That's what his passion was. We don't give that up because we have fallen in love. It is emasculating. Thoughts?
Well, thoughts number one is it's very typical for a male to blame the woman for lack of performance.
I did not hear me do that.
So that's the vibe I was getting. I think it's a very convenient excuse to say he has had one bad performance at the game and it happens to coincide to a timing close to his engagement. I do not think that there is causation. I do not think that that's very clear. I think the other thing that it is very easy, and what most people do is something called splitting good and evil, right? And
coaching moment.
Coaching moment. I think you're splitting. I think that Travis can be a fantastic husband, deliriously in love, and an amazing football player.
And I think that that he is setting a bad example for their future children, that he has surrendered, in my opinion, surrendered his identity as a football player to be her bitch. That's tough, but that's how I feel. And it's a pet peeve.
I mean, I'm very rarely at a loss for words, but I thought that was an incredibly severe, inaccurate, and frankly disgusting summary of that. I think, why are you going to say that she's his bitch? Why can't he, be in love and be a great football player? And why is it that you expect him to be solely dedicated to one thing? He's not that much younger than his brother. He's closer to retirement than he is in starting his career. He's at an age, I want to say they're 35. So they're at an age where they're not stretching it too much for children. I mean, what do you want him to do? Get to a point where he's picking up some, young thing on the side so he can actually have children. Maybe he wants to be a young and productive and engaged dad. I think that's probably, Justin, and this is hard because I have a very long laundry list. That might be one of the most obnoxious things I've ever heard.
Well, obviously, it's not surprising. I disagree with you. I think what he's doing is the wrong way forward. His passion was football. That's what made him who he is. And I feel like that is now second to being Taylor's fiance.
But he's 35. Like, how long can your passion as a football player? He can still have a passion for football. He can coach, he can host, he could be a commentator, and also that's not fair. He could have a passion for his fiance, he can have a passion for his foundation, he can have a passion for his future children. All of those things can be true, and they can all be true at once.
And I don't think that's where he is. And this has struck a nerve with our listeners because I'm getting emails right and left. Here's one. Did Travis go from tight end to Taylor's +1 overnight? My answer is yes. On game day, he's moving to chains. The rest of the week, he's moving through photo ops. I'm pro-love, as we both are. But when your route tree gets replaced by red carpet, you look less like a chief and more like a brand collab. Right on.
And I think, to be completely honest, I think this is sexism 101. I do not think, no one is saying that like Taylor is compromising her ability to write, perform, and produce.
But she's not. That's my point. She's not compromised anything. She's still Taylor Swift. She's going to get the life that she always wanted and envisioned, and good for her. Well, he's going to get the life that she envisioned for him.
See, and I think those are a lot of assumptions. And I think also, I do not think that we would be doing this if, let's say, Venus Williams decided to marry, Bruce Springsteen. I couldn't think of.
Well, but the point is, I guess my problem is, I just am such a strong believer in two people have to bring their uniqueness to a relationship, and they have to maintain those identities to make a relationship work. There is a day when he will be resentful of her for giving up what he's giving up for her, in my opinion.
Well, guess what? I mean, we know this. There's only a few people, I think, like Frank Sinatra, there were a few other people. The voice actually declines over age, the singing voice. Also, you cannot play football forever, but he's going to have to pivot. She's eventually probably going to have to pivot. And I think
disagree on both points.
And I think the other thing that you're not giving credit for is when you are worth billions of dollars, when you are a household name, where you have major brand partnerships, maybe the thing that brings them the closest together is that they are dealing with the pressures of being number one at the top of their own industries. And maybe that's a huge common bond that brings them together.
My problem is she's going to wake up one day and he's emasculated in what his actions have emasculated him. And she's going to wake up and say, I'm dating a wet noodle. I am not excited about that. And it could be a deal breaker.
Golly, Justin, I kind of want to puke. This is really uncomfortable.
All right, when we come back, our favorite segment, can we talk about this? This was sort of what it kind of ran in between the two. Can we talk about, we're also going to talk about viewer emails from last week. Our hot topic last week was relationship advice. And apparently we're talking about it again because
there we go.
Yeah, I'm thinking you don't do what they're doing, but they are.
There we go. When we're back, we'll talk about the email responses to relationship deal breakers. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for streaming Wrong Way Forward, the weekly reminder that advice is usually free for a reason. We call out bad advice wherever it hides: boardrooms, break rooms, and even book clubs.
Enjoying this dumpster fire? Like, subscribe, and check back every Thursday for new episodes. Want us to roast your favorite piece of nonsense? Email us at wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com. Be sure to include your contact info. We're not psychic, just judgmental. And now, back to Wrong Way Forward.
Roasting the worst advice ever. Welcome back to the Katy and Justin podcast.
And welcome back to Wrong Way Forward. This week we're talking about the pet peeves that everybody has. We'd love to hear yours. Those are coming in on viewer email. We've talked about a few of them. In the last segment, we talked about Travis and Taylor because everyone is talking about that right now. You can't go anywhere without that being a topic of conversation. Usually this is our third segment where we talk about, can we talk about this? But last week's topic on relationships was so divisive that we've gotten so many emails. We're going to talk about what our viewers have said and our responses to them.
Yeah. So last week we talked about kind of relationship deal breakers, and the example was a woman who had had 2 great dates with someone, but on the third one, he showed up with too much cologne, hair gel, and tight white jeans.
And you just literally pissed off our white jeans, too much cologne, and hair gel viewership. So they're out.
Well, they're out. But the thing about it is they have to have all 3. I think all 3 is what sent her over the edge. But the context is that we talked about ick factor. Is it too superficial? Can you get beyond this? Are you a horrible person if you can't get past this in dating and relationships?
And does the ick factor change as you age? Because maybe there's a point where you have less of an ick factor because you want to have babies, and as you get older, because you're okay being alone, maybe that ick factor goes down a little bit, or up a little bit, because you really are very particular.
Yes.
So not surprising, our viewers found support for me, as I'm sure you have some that found support for you. So I'll start, as I always do. Justin's right. I love when an email starts like this. This is Jana from Chicago. Justin's right. Cologne plus hair gel plus tight white jeans is a data point. Katy, not a destiny. It's a data point, not a destiny. Katy, you crowned the ick is real, which I love. Like it's universal law. Then pretended aesthetics don't matter while confessing you still cringe at 51. This you got a good insight here. You literally proved Justin's point that preferences are valid, but they still need logic to sort signal from noise. Team Justin, gut and data.
Well, I'd like to one up yours because she said you were right, but I have a listener email that says Katy is 100% right.
Oh, okay.
The ick is real and not something you can ignore. When you feel it, and it makes perfect sense that as you get older, you're less willing to compromise on things that genuinely turn you off.
Yeah, well, I agree with that point.
And the pocket watch story was so relatable. That's a classic case of ick, and it's okay to feel that way.
I do not disagree with this viewer. That proved my point that as you get older, your ick factor goes up, and you can be more choosy because you're happy being alone. That doesn't mean that some of these things that we talked about weren't valid feelings.
Yes. Okay. Well, I want to hear what else,
Okay. So I got this one also. Katy insists she wants to be bigger than that, as she often does. Then admits that a vest makes her want to hide under a table. Justin, but you're not. That's exactly what I said. Brutal and accurate. You can aspire to be chill about aesthetics, but your actual standards are the ones running your dates. I agree. Justin's take. Acknowledge preferences openly and stop punishing yourself and him for having.
So it's very interesting because I'm wondering if this is a couple that responded to us because I just got that version. And directly on point to that is, and this is Mark C. So it's actually a man who's agreeing with me. I disagree with Justin on this one. It's easy for him to say, just be honest, but that's not how it works in the real world. Katy's point about not wanting to be a bitch by criticizing his aesthetic choices shows maturity. It's about being generous and giving someone a chance, but sometimes the attraction just isn't there. And that's nobody's fault.
Okay. And I agree with that last statement. Sometimes the attraction is not there, but I feel less like that's going to have to be the stopwatch. Well, I guess it does have to.
It's not a stopwatch.
It's a pocket watch. It's the same thing.
It's completely different.
It's the 1920.
A pocket watch is attached to you.
With a chain.
With a chain.
What if it was a 14-karat gold gauge?
Which that reminds me when I met you in college that first week you wore a chain, and I remember I did tell you at one point, Justin.
Now you've pissed off all of our chain work, which is like half the pocket.
Well, chains are coming back for men, mostly baseball players. But I was like, Justin, get rid of that gold chain.
Yeah, that's your son. I have the gold chain upstairs.
But you stopped wearing it.
No, I probably wear it tonight.
Oh.
But I think it's just interesting because in the end, it's all in the eye of the beholder. I mean, it is. I'm with you. I wouldn't want someone I was dating. If Josh ever walked out of the bedroom with a pocket watch, I would rip it and throw it as far as I could. But like I said, you call it a Zuko suit? Is that what you called it? A Zuko suit?
A suit suit.
A suit suit. If the man was hot and didn't have hair gel, it would be a seersucker. So it's the same thing.
That is so, once again, factually incorrect. I do think for the readers, we do. I think for the readers, or the listeners, we need to have a picture of someone in a zoot suit next to someone in a seersucker suit. I mean, it's not even close.
I'll have the team put it up at the end.
Okay, do that. I think that would be fantastic.
But since I'm controlling that, they're going to look real close. You're going to be real wrong on this one. All right, no more viewer emails. So we're at 5 episodes in. What have you thought so far?
I'm having a great time. And again, really want to thank everyone who's joined us.
Yeah.
The numbers keep increasing. It's really exciting that we're in more than 80 cities.
Yep.
And that people are joining us. And again, we would love to hear from you. We don't want to keep the advice come just here. So if you could please send any emails, comments, questions, any kind of wrong advice, or when you're seeing the wrong way forward, it's wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com.
Or if you just want our take on it, you got a Southern belle, if you will.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah, and a gay sort of conservative. I hate calling myself that because I really am not, but I tend to see the world through those eyes more, even though I'm a gay person.
Yes, those two things can exist at once too.
And frequently, we just see the world different.
There we go. And also, we'd love to. If you haven't followed yet, please hit the follow button. And if you're enjoying your time with us, please give us a review. We'd really appreciate it.
And of course, we're always streaming Thursday mornings with new episodes of Wrong Way Forward. We're taking on the week's hottest advice. So, like Katy said, give us a like and a follow. We'll see you next week on Wrong Way Forward. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
All right, that's a wrap on this week's episode of Wrong Way Forward. Remember, the only thing worse than taking bad advice is giving it.
If you've liked what you've heard, like, subscribe, or follow us wherever you stream podcasts. And if you've got a topic or need some advice we'll probably regret giving, email us at wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Wrong Way Forward.